kids. My name is Reeve Kerwin. I study animals, I do. All of God's created creatures. I really love animals. How many of you kids like animals?
I only like my daycares.
And me! I like any kind of animal.
She likes any kind of animal. Crikey. You know, kids, now some animals, they make great pets, don't they?
Yeah!
You know, like dogs and cats.
Oh, I
And rabbits. Even goldfish.
See.
Well, maybe not so much goldfish. I mean, how do you pet a goldfish?
And I like monkeys.
Anyway, you know, some animals are called exotic animals. Do you know what they are?
No.
Well, let me give you a demonstration here. Like this little fella right here. He's an exotic animal. Now, he could be very deadly, but he's not. Crikey, he's actually quite tame. He's a lizard. Have you ever seen a lizard?
I have.
Well, there's a lizard right there.
I've seen a baby one.
You did? Now be careful now, kids. Some animals can be very dangerous. Now, like this little baby alligator right here. You gotta watch out, they got razor teeth, sharp teeth. And if they bite you, they won't let go. But this is a baby one. I don't think he could really hurt you. Oh, it can a little bit. But I'll tell you what, kids, when they make good pets when they're little, but when they get older, they get really, really big. They get so big, they get 12 feet long, and they can chew your arm off in a second. Don't want one of these as a pet. Now, there are also some other kind of animals, like insects, and you know, they could be pets too. You know, well, like this little critter right here. You see him right there? That's a giant beetle. No, you gotta be real careful, kids, because some of these beetles could be deadly dangerous. This particular one right here, he really is kind of dangerous. He's the kind, if he feels threatened by a predator, he spits out this acid-like substance right in your eye. Oh, crikey, he almost got me just then. You gotta watch out, they're deadly. I'm gonna stay away from him, because they can be very, very careful. But you gotta watch out there. Now anyway, some insects, they're not really good for pets at all. In fact, some of them are even like pests. Ooh, like this giant fly right here. Oh, they're really bad. You know, sometimes they even carry diseases. I'll fix you, I will. I think I need a bigger fly swatter. That's not quite big enough. You know, I would pick them up, but I'm afraid if I do, I might get a disease. So I better find a stick around here. I know I saw a stick somewhere where I could poke them up. Oh, here's one right here. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. Crikey, it is a snake! Golly gee, he did bite me. Oh, my Lord. And he's a deadly poisonous one, too. Well, I'll tell you what, kid. It's a good thing that I can stand on the Bible in Mark chapter 16, verse 18. You know what it says, kids? It says, they shall take up serpents, and if they think any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. So I'm not really too worried about this little fella. I'll just put him down here. Well, he can't do any danger to you. Because if he was to come in and bite you on your toe, you might get sick and die. I'll just stick him down here somewhere. Maybe that'll take care of him. You know, that does remind me of a story, though. How many of you kids have heard of the Apostle Paul? You never heard of the Apostle Paul? Well, he had a thing one time where he was shipwrecked on this island called Malta. And when he was on there, he was on the beach. And he was picking up some wood for like a fireplace. And when he did, a snake, like I just had a second ago, it came up and it bit me. It bit him, I mean. And everybody thought that, what are you looking at? What's wrong? Crikey! It's an ostrich.
Excuse me, I think you dropped something.
Yes, I think I don't want him, thank you very much, but crikey, it's not only an ostrich, it's a talking ostrich. Well, that's just totally amazing. Well, anyway, how is it you can talk? I don't quite get that.
What's so strange about that? I thought he talked to Balaam in the Bible.
Well, that's right, he did. He was on the cartoon a little minute ago. Remember that story about that talking dog? Well, I guess an ostrich can't talk then, can't he? But anyway, there was another time when an animal talked. I almost forgot about this one. It was in the Garden of Eden. Remember Eve when she was eating that apple? And you remember that serpent was talking to her? Well, that snake was talking too, so I guess animals can talk. So I really shouldn't be too scared about that then, I reckon. Well, anyway, do you have a name?
Well, of course I have a name. Doesn't everyone? My name is Olivia.
That's a pretty name.
Of course it is. It's because I'm so pretty, so very pretty. I'm so pretty.
Anyway, my name is Reeve Kerwin.
Yes, I know. I heard you introduce yourself to the kids. You know, I don't always have my head buried in the sand.
Alrighty then. Now on with the show anyway, kids. I was about here to show the kids some pictures of animals I took when I studied the animals.
Oh, can I help?
Well, I don't see why not. You are an animal yourself, after all. Anyway, hopefully this thing will work. These are animal pictures in God's animal kingdom. Now, we're going to go from A to Z. How many of you kids know how many letters in the A to Z?
25.
You're close. 27. So we're going to look at more than 27 because some of these have more than one. Now, this first little fella on the very top there, he's an armadillo. And he's found in the southernmost parts of the United States. And his name actually means armored one. And when attacked, they roll up into kind of like a ball.
I guess they don't like getting kicked around either.
Yeah, you know, kids, the devil likes to try to kick us around too. But if we put on God's armor, he can't hurt us. Like it says in Ephesians 6:11, put on the whole armor of God, kids, that you may be able to stand against the walls of the devil. Now, this next fellow, underneath him, he's called an alcapa. Now, they're found in South America. Now, they're also known as llamas.
They spit out your face.
And they hurt.
And they hurt. Now, this next one is an Ankole Waters cattle. Weird looking fella. Look at them horns on that bugger. I'd hate to get caught up in one of them, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the one that is next to him on the very bottom there, he's called an anteater.
What do they eat?
Hey, kids, you know what they eat?
Ants. Ants.
I think that makes
Because
sense.
that's your name.
I like the chocolate flavored kind myself. They're covered in chocolate.
Chocolate covered ants, I don't think so. But anyway, you're kind of weird. Now this next one on the left, he's called a bison, better known as a buffalo.
Where are they from?
Western New York, I think. Now anyway, this picture up here, he's a bat. Now, bats are ugly creatures and everything. And did you know, kids, that bats are blind? They can't see. Now what they do when they fly around, they got this thing like radar that comes out of their nose. And it bounces back and tells them where they're going. But now you gotta be real careful, kids. Now if you ever see one of these little buggers laying around, don't touch them. They're deadly. It could actually kill you because some of them have rabies. So be careful. If you see one, you're going to have to get medical attention very quick.
I've seen one of
Now,
those.
there's one on the bottom here. That's a picture of a politician. No, I'm just kidding. This is a baboon. He's an ape.
I once heard someone say that you humans evolved from apes.
Pardon the pun, but that's a crock. God created man in his own image, and I'm sure God doesn't look like that there baboon.
Oh, I guess I was misinformed then.
Yeah, you were. Now, this next picture, that's a bear. His name is Yogi.
Yogi.
Just kidding. I don't know what his name is, but I'll tell you what, I won't stick around close enough to ask him, though, because bears can be very dangerous, kids. Now, if you're ever up in the Smoky Mountains visiting, now, if you ever see a bear, don't go near it. Don't try to feed it, because if they start chasing you, they will catch you. They run faster than a dog even. And they could tear you up and bite you and everything. So stay away from these guys, okay, kids?
Now, if a bear chases me, I'll just bury my head in the sand so he won't see me.
I don't think that's going to work, Olivia, burying your head in the sand so he doesn't see you. Anyway, this next animal, he's not quite as threatening as a bear. Now, he's called a chinchilla. And it's a South American rodent, actually. And some people even use that little fella for a fur coat. And they're pretty little, so I imagine it takes a lot of them to make a coat.
Yeah, and some people use ostrich feathers to make feather boas. How rude.
Yes, I reckon so. Now, this next animal on the bottom, he's called a camel. Now, back in the biblical days, people used them to carry things around with, and they even rode them. See, they didn't need to drink a lot of water and stuff when they were traveling through the desert. So they would drink one time and last a whole month out in the desert. They could go long distances too. Now, this next one on the very top left corner out there, that's a chipmunk. Cute little guy, kind of like the cartoon Chip and Dale. You all ever seen that cartoon?
Yep, I have.
Oh, I love that cartoon. But how come they don't make cartoons with ostriches?
I reckon it's because they're not funny. But then on the other hand, you all do bury your heads in the sand a lot. Well, anyway, this next guy on the right of him, he's called a chameleon. Now, they changed the color to blend in with the environment, to camouflage themselves so the predators can't see them.
Well, that's why we bury our heads in the sand, so predators can't see us.
Olivia! Anyway, moving on then. This next animal on the bottom there, he's called a cheetah. Now, they can run incredibly fast, up to 60 miles an hour. But only for a short distance, though.
I once played cards with a cheetah, and I will never do that again.
Why's that?
Because he didn't play fair. He was a cheetah.
Olivia, that's corny. Now, this next picture, this is called a cow highland. Simply put, it's a cow, kids. Now, this next one is one of my favorite ones. It's called a crocodile. But it's very dangerous. You don't want to play around with this fella, kids. Now, this next one on the top, he's a donkey. We saw a donkey in that cartoon a little while ago. And, you know, donkeys are mentioned a whole lot in the Bible. And that story you heard earlier about that talking donkeys in the book of Numbers, chapter 22, if you ever want to read it. Now, of course, the one on the bottom, what is that?
Dog!
That's a dog. Sure it is. Man's best friend. They make great pets too. Now, this next one is a deer. Really cute. I call that one Bambi.
Bambi.
Now, sometimes though, they can be a little bit of a nuisance. See, they live in the woods. And sometimes in the country, they'll go and across the road.
Yep.
And sometimes get hit by cars. You just ask your pastor, he knows all about that one. Pesky little fly is still moving. Ah, I won't get him yet. I hate those things. Now, next picture is, what is that?
An elephant.
That's an elephant. You know, they say, kids, that elephants have great memories. I think they came to that conclusion because a lot of folks, when they go to the circus and stuff, they see the baby elephants, just the little baby ones, and they will put chains around their leg and put a stake in the ground to keep them from running off. Now, the baby elephant wasn't strong enough to pull that stake out. Now, the baby elephant eventually grew up into a big elephant, and you know, they still put that same chain on that elephant, but he couldn't break the chain. He could if he wanted to, but he doesn't because he remembered when he was a little kid, he couldn't do it. He was conditioned, in other words. Now, this one on the top, that cute little fella, he's called a ferret. It's one of the rodent family, and some people even have them as pets. Now, of course, you all know what a frog is, right?
Frog, yes.
Yeah, that's a frog.
I had a frog in my throat the other day.
You had a frog in your throat? Oh, had a cold with a sore throat, eh?
No, I really had a frog stuck in my throat. It was my breakfast.
Yeah, you know, some humans eat frog legs too, you know.
They don't-
Tastes like chicken.
they don't
Now,
like
anyway,
it hot.
this next fellow on the bottom, he's a fox. Now, foxes, they can be a little bit of a pest too, though, some chicken farmers, because what they do is they break into chicken coops and they'll kill and eat the chickens. They just love birds.
I'd like to see one of those foxes try and eat me.
I don't think he could. Now, this next fellow on the left, he's called a giraffe. Now, they're found in Africa. Now, giraffes don't have vocal cords, so they don't make any sounds. Now, the one next to him on the bottom there, that's called a goat, which is another animal mentioned a lot in the Bible.
Do goats talk?
Goats talk. Nah. Now, that next one I'm going to show you is kind of scary, kids, so you might want to hang on to your hats. If you're weak or hot, this might scare you. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a scary-looking bugger. This is called a mountain gorilla. I wouldn't want to tangle with that fella. They weigh up to 300 pounds.
Me neither.
Now, this next one is called a Gila monster. And as its name implies, it is a real monster. It's a reptile that gets about 2 feet long. That's about that long. Now, these are really dangerous though, kids. They have razor-sharp teeth, and they have a venom that's deadly enough to kill 2 adult humans with just one bite. Stay away from that fella, kids. Now, the one on the very bottom there, that's called a gecko. Now, they're pretty harmless, or a lizard too. They're kind of like that cute little cat you see on TV commercials selling car insurance. Now, the next one is called a guinea pig. And they make great pets too, but they're like a rodent, so kind of got to take good care of them so they don't break into your food stores and stuff.
I hate the way they talk.
Yes, I've heard them talk like that too. Now, some folks even have hedgehogs for pets. Now, unlike the guinea pig, they're not hogs. And they're also of the rodent family. Now, this next rascal on the ugly-looking beast he's called a hyena. Now, they come from Africa, and they're basically scavengers.
I once had a friend named Ina, and every time I saw her, I'd say, "Hi, Ina."
Yeah, funny, Olivia. You're a real jokester. Now, can we move on now? Okay, now, I'm not really sure what this next animal is. I don't know what that's called.
Horse. A horse.
That's a horse, of course. Now, the next picture I'm going to show you, this is called a hippopotamus. He's a big guy, ain't he? Now, I wouldn't want him to fall on me or anything, because I reckon I'd be flat as a pancake, I reckon. Now, the next picture,
They are very dangerous.
this is called an ibex,
Dangerous.
which is basically a wild goat. They're kind of like a ram, which, by the way, is another animal mentioned in the Bible quite a lot. Now, this next one, on top, is called an impala. Now, it's an African antelope which can leap incredibly high. I once had a Chevy car called an Impala. It couldn't leap high, but it sure was high in constant repair bills. Now, this little guy underneath him is called an iguana. It's a lizard too, a reptile, and you know, some people have them as pets too. Now, this next picture is called a jaguar, like the car, but it's not a car, it's an animal. It's part of the leopard family. Now, this little fella up on the top is called a koala.
Koala.
It's from my home country in Australia. Now, it eats eucalyptus leaves, which smell a lot like Vicks Vapor Rub, sorta. And, of course, the picture underneath it is a kangaroo. We call them joeys where I'm from. Now, they carry the babies and stuff in a pocket,
Yep.
a little pouch in the front there. You know, they're the only animal that does that.
Ostrich babies are hatched from eggs because we don't have pockets.
Yeah, that's a fact. Now, the next photo on the very top, this is called a leopard. Now, they're related to those jaguars that we saw a minute ago, but now, these animals underneath him are not leopards, they're called lemurs.
I've seen those.
Yeah, now they live in Madagascar, and it's related actually to the monkey family.
And they are in rainforest too.
Yeah, in the rainforest. You must have been there, haven't you?
Mhm.
Oh,
And they
wow.
have a lot of animals.
Well, they certainly do. Crikey, she's a smart girl.
It was a crocodile or an alligator.
Probably an alligator if it was in South America. Now,
It was
this
just-
next picture needs no introduction. You know what that's called, kids?
Lion!
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Now, lions are mentioned in the Bible too. Now, they're from Africa.
Oh, I don't trust them
Why's that?
because they're always lying.
Very funny, Olivia. Where do you get all those corny jokes from anyway?
I get them from that fake theater character, W.C. Barnyard.
Oh, yeah. I heard him. He's a funny guy, all right. Well, anyway, moving on to the next picture. Now, this guy in the upper left, he's called a marmot. And he's part of related to woodchucks, like prairie dogs and everything.
Prairie dogs? Oh, I get it. They are mare mutts.
Mutts. Very funny. Anyway, the guy next to him is called a meerkat. And they're related to the meermut, sort of.
Oh, a cat related to a mutt.
Knock it off, Olivia. Now, the guy on the very bottom there, of course, is a monkey. Now, the guy in this next picture, he's on the very top there. He's called a nutria. Now, they're related to the bear and others, and the otters and beavers, and you know, some people even use them to make coats with. Now, the fellow on the bottom, he's called a Nile antelope. They're kind of like that impala animal we saw a little while ago. Now, this next creature on the very top, he's an otter. And otters, you'll find them in the water. Now, the one underneath is called a okapi. Yeah, they're kind of a weird-looking creature, but did you know, they're from Africa, by the way, but did you know that they're related to the giraffe with the big necks? But they have shorter necks, but they're all related. Now, this next one is called an orangutan. Now, they're actually on the endangered species list. It's a great ape of Africa, and one of the most intelligent of all the primates. Now, what I mean by the endangered list, kids, is there's not a whole lot of them left anymore. Now, moving on to the letter P.
Now, wait a minute, hold on there.
What's wrong, Olivia?
You're going into the letter P.
Yeah.
And how come when you were in the letter O, you didn't mention us ostriches?
Well, crikey. I reckon it's because, why should I when I have a live example right here?
Oh, yeah? Where?
You silly!
Oh, never mind.
Alrighty then, moving on to the letter P. Now, the cute little fella on the top is called a panda bear. Now, there's another one's on the endangered species list too. It's from China, and it can weigh up to 300 pounds. Now, the fella underneath the panda is called a pied terrorin. Now, it's related to the monkey family. Now, the guy underneath him is, well, a pig. Basically, that's all you can say about that fella. Now, the other guy is called a porcupine.
Oh.
Now, just because it has the word pork in it doesn't mean it's of the pig family, though. Actually, it has long, barbed quills on it. And when it's threatened, they stick out. And they're like fish hooks, so if you ever got stuck with one, they're very painful. And I kind of think you might have to go to the hospital if you did get pricked with one. Yes, I know, that pesky fly just won't die. I hate flies.
I'm allergic.
Now, on to the next picture. Now, this guy, he's called a proboscis monkey. Kind of looks like Jimmy Durante. Weird. Now, the one on the bottom is called a puma. Now, it's like a cougar, kind of like a mountain lion or a panther. And, you know, they're found in both North and South America. Now, this next picture, now this is something that every little girl dreams about having.
Oh, I want it!
See, I told you so. Every little girl wants a pony.
I don't.
Hey, well, you're a boy. You probably wouldn't. You probably want an alligator or something poisonous.
I want a tarantula. A tarantula. And
Whoa! Whoa, what do we
I've
have
ordered
here?
a snake before.
Now, this next picture of the snake is called a python. Now, it's not really poisonous, but it is very dangerous. If they ever wrap around you, they will squeeze you to death. Yet, you know, there are some people that have them for pets.
Not me, boy, no way.
Now, this next guy on the very top, he's called a cuckoos, and it's from the rodent family too. Now, the guy on the very left there, that's what Daniel Boone used to make his hats out of.
And you said my jokes were corny.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Of course it's a raccoon. Now, the guy next to him is called a ram, which is like that ibex creature we saw a little while ago. Now, it is mentioned in the Bible too. Now, these next pictures. The picture on the upper left is called a reindeer. They are real, but they're not like the ones you kids may have heard of that pull Santa's sled, because reindeer can't fly, and of course there's no such thing as a Santa Claus neither. Now, the one on the right, some of you kids might have as pets. They're called rabbits. And yes, they do multiply quite quickly. Now, the one on the very bottom, that mean-looking fella down there, he's called a rhinoceros. Now, he's mentioned in the Bible too, though. But he's not referred to as a rhinoceros. They call him a unicorn.
Oh, unicorn. Like those horses with a horn on their head. They're real then?
No, unicorns are not real. Now, this next picture, on the top, the cute little fella, he's a seal. He's a cute little fella, isn't he? Now, the one on the bottom, y'all should know what they are. They're called sheep. You get wool from them. Again, another animal mentioned in the Bible quite a lot. Now, this next picture is, ew!
Snake.
It's a snake! I don't really like them, but I don't really hate them either. But you know, some of them are very beneficial. They're beneficial to our ecosystem because they can eat rats and other things like that. But anyway, kids, if you see a snake, stay away from it. Because you might not know if they're poisonous or not.
I've ordered a snake before.
Now, the one on the very bottom there,
A tortoise.
he's called a tortoise. He's better known as a turtle. Now, watch out for the snapping turtles, though, because if they ever get a hold of your finger or something, they won't let go.
My parents found a
I think I can outrun a turtle.
My dad had found a turtle before. My dad found a box turtle.
A box turtle. That's interesting. It's not like a bucket turtle, then, is it?
No.
I didn't know there was such a thing as a bucket turtle. Anyway, this next picture on the upper left is called a tamarin. It's a monkey.
Whoa!
Looks like he could use a trim on that mustache of his.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now, the other picture is called a tarsier. Now, it's from East India. Now, the guy on the bottom left there, he's called a thorny devil. He's a reptile, actually, kind of like a lizard. He's not related to the devil, though, kids. Now, the fellow next to him is called a tapir. Now, a tapir, believe it or not, is actually related to horses and rhinoceroses.
What a strange animal.
Yeah, but so are you.
How rude.
Oh, lighten up, Olivia. I'm just teasing you. Now, this next picture is no introduction.
Tiger.
This is a tiger. And his name is Tony.
How do you know his name is Tony?
He's a tiger, ain't he? Anyway, this large cat, you don't want to play with him, kids, because don't try to catch him by his tail, because if you did, well, I hope you have a hospital close nearby. Now, this next picture, the next guy is called a Uakari monkey. Now, the fella on the right is called a Uriel, which is of the goat family. Kind of like those rams and ibexes we saw a little while ago. Now, this next picture is a picture of a vervet monkey. They're from East Africa. Now, the guy next to him is called a vole. Now, they're of the rodent family, kind of like rats and mice and stuff. Now, this next picture on the top, this fella, he's from Australia, my home country, and he's called a wallaby. It's kind of like a kangaroo, sort of. Yeah, the beast underneath him is called a wild beast. Wildebeest. Now, they're from Africa too. It's kind of like an ox, which, by the way, is another animal mentioned in the Bible quite a bit.
There sure are a lot of animals mentioned in the Bible, huh?
Well, of course, why not? It's all part of God's creation. Now, on to the next picture. Now, the picture on the very top is a class picture of one of the students from Mr. Carter's class. They're called warthogs.
I don't think the kids get that joke.
I don't think some of the adults did either. Anyway, all joking aside, these warthogs are like wild boars with razor-sharp tusks that could rip you to shreds. Dangerous animals. Now, of course, the one on the bottom, kids, now it's called a wolf. Now, it kind of reminds me of a story. How many kids ever hear the story of the little boy that cried wolf? Some of you haven't, though. Well, I'll tell you real quick, it's not very long. Long time ago, there was this little boy that lived in this country town, and they had a lot of sheep and stuff. Now, there was a mean old wolf like this fella who lived in the woods, and would come into the town and kill and eat the sheep all the time. So the townspeople said, if anybody sees this wolf, shout out, wolf, wolf, and we'll come with our guns and shoot him. Now, there was a little boy there, kind of like this fella down here, who thought it'd be real funny to shout wolf, wolf, when there wasn't any wolf. So he gave it a shot, he did, and he said, wolf, wolf, and all the townspeople came running around with their guns going, where's the wolf? And the kids just laughed. There was no wolf. Now, the townspeople got a little upset with him, but they let it go. Now, the very next day, that little boy said, that was funny. I think I'll give it a shot again. So he shouted, woof, woof. And the town people showed up again with their guns. But again, there was no wolf. Now this time the townspeople were getting a little angry at this little boy. And they said, we're not going to fall for your stunts anymore, youngster. Don't you do that again unless there really is a wolf. Because we don't really trust you anymore. And anyway, the next day, the little boy thought, well, it worked 2 times before. Maybe I'll give it another try. So he shouted, woof, woof. Except this time, there was a wolf. And that wolf jumped on that little boy and almost killed him. He ate his arm off almost. Anyway, the little boy had to go to the hospital and get stitches. And he would almost die from that attack. Now, the moral of the story is, kids, don't cry wolf. In other words, this is a biblical principle. Don't lie. Amen?
You're getting close to the end of your animal list.
Yes, I know I am. Now, let's carry on then. Now, this next animal is called a zebras. It's basically a squirrel. I don't know why they give it such a funny name. Squirrel is easier to say than zebras. Now, this next picture, this funny looking fella, he's called a yak. He's of the ox family. And again, oxes are mentioned all throughout the Bible. Now, this last picture is a picture of a zebu.
Where's
Now,
the zebra?
Well, not a zebra, a zebu. They're kind of like an ox, sort of.
Is it related to a zebra?
There's a
Now,
zebra.
there's a zebra. actually, this picture is a horse in prison.
No, it's a zebra.
A horse in prison?
Well, he's got prison stripes, don't he?
Now that's supposed to be funny. I think I'll go now and bury my head in the sand. Again. See you later.
All right, we'll see you later, Olivia. Well, kids, what do you think about God's amazing creatures? They're amazing, amen? Well, I hope you learned something about animals. Some of them can be pets, some of them are dangerous, and some of them are just plain weird. Now, would you like Olivia and me to come back again someday and show you some more animals?
Yes, sir.
Shout amen if you would. I'm sorry, I can't hear you quite good. Okay, we'll be back, we will. But until then, I think I need to go to the store and buy me a bigger fly swatter. This guy just won't die. All right, we'll see you, kids.
It's not real.
Goodbye.